On this edition of the Cronkite Sports Report, court storming, how fan fun has turned dangerous. Plus, a former college athlete sues the NCAA. We'll tell you why. And how New Mercury GM Nick Urin plans on building a winner. Hello and welcome to this special NCAA edition of Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Lauren Avenatti. The NCAA men's basketball Final Four just wrapped up in Phoenix, and the women's Final Four in Cleveland enjoyed record viewership, testament to the growing fan base in big-time college athletics. But the college basketball season also brought controversy as fans took their excitement to a new, potentially dangerous level. Kevin Malater takes a look at court storming and how to stay safe when people rush the floor.
On television and social media, this may look like fans simply having fun. But all it takes is for one wrong step to call for a reassessment of the fun.
I've seen it quite a few times. I've seen it, and I cringe every time I see it.
This season, court storming safety has been a highly debated topic, especially at the collegiate level, where this season's superstars like Iowa's Caitlin Clark and Kyle Filipowski from Duke were both hit in an opposing court storming.
And the party is on in Winston-Salem.
Court stormings have caught the eyes of athletes across the country. In the case of Filipowski, fans coming onto the court before the game ended raised their eyebrows even higher.
I just think it's very strange because when you're locked in on the game, just playing, like you're not really focused on outside distractions, including the fans at some point. So in a close game like that, where I'm guessing Kyle Filipowski is thinking about the game and what he's trying to accomplish, he's not really thinking about, oh, I have to jog to get off the court.
In Arizona, the AIA has sought changes to improve safety at all of their events, and the improvements start at communication with student leadership.
What I do a lot is if it's getting close to an end of the game and it looks like a team is going to win it, we'll talk to the kids, especially the kids on the front row. Because who are the kids on the front row? Leaders or seniors or someone that, you know, the kids know who they are.
However, during the regular season, court storming safety is up to each school and how they handle their end of the game procedures. Knowing this, schools use the resources at their disposal to try to head off potential court stormings, doing whatever they can to keep their student athletes safe.
Our number one attempt is always to attempt to try to not have the kids storm the court or storm the field. So that's where our partnership with Chandler Police, them working events, the police officers, our security team.
Palmer and his staff at Hamilton High School have seen many big wins and some court stormings during his 6-year tenure as the school's athletic director. But as much as Palmer's team can be prepared to prevent students from coming onto the floor, what they can't prepare for is the psychological side to watching a tense game in the eyes of the student section.
You can feel your hands are sweaty, you can't sit still, and that physiological arousal is something that sort of gets us ready for some sort of action. I mean, it's not a fight or flight from the standpoint of there's a bear there and you need to be able to run away or fight that bear to survive, right? But when we are physiologically aroused, we are primed and ready to act.
College and high school basketball teams won't see a home court advantage until this fall, giving the NCAA and high school athletic associations everywhere time to consider what's next for court stormings. In Phoenix, Kevin Malater, Cronkite News.
As basketball continues to gain viewership on the men's and women's side, you can expect player safety at all levels to be a focal point for schools across the country. Coming up next on the Cronkite Sports Report, college players are cashing in on NIL deals, but one former athlete says the NCAA owes him a piece of the pie.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage.
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to see.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Here at the TV Production and Graphics Lab, we are behind the scenes making the news happen. Gain experience in the control room directing, teledirecting, and rolling the audio of every Cronkite News show. run the floor, and work in a professional environment, honing your skills for the future. Create graphics that will be seen by the local community on Arizona PBS. Be a part of the bloodline that makes the Cronkite News shows possible.
Welcome back. These days, some college athletes are cashing in and making millions of dollars thanks to NIL. But it wasn't that long ago when the Supreme Court delivered a 9-0 ruling on Alston v. NCAA, a decision that granted NIL rights to every college athlete a part of the NCAA. Now, as Ethan Tuttle reports, a former ASU swimmer and All-American sues the NCAA for media rights revenue.
College sports have been insanely popular and growing rapidly since the NCAA took over television broadcasts of its sporting events in the 1950s. Now the NCAA puts on one of, if not the most successful sporting events in the world, March Madness. In fiscal year 2023, the NCAA netted $873 million on the media rights deal for the event, a staggering number that continues to rise. But college athletes currently see $0 of that money. And surprisingly, it's one former college swimmer that is standing up to challenge the NCAA for a share of TV media revenue to be dispersed to college athletes from the past, present, and future. This is Grant House, the lead plaintiff in House v. NCAA, an antitrust lawsuit that seeks the right to grant college athletes a chunk of TV broadcast revenue from the NCAA. With multiple antitrust cases already stacked against the NCAA, some involving current and former college athletes, people are starting to take notice.
The NCAA's got a freight train coming down the tracks right at it. And it's called the House case, and it's being litigated by a lawyer named Jeffrey Kessler.
House versus the NCAA. This is a case that could totally upend college football as you know it.
I was first approached actually during 2020, the summer of COVID, by a teammate's mother. Kind of just wanted my background on my experience as an Olympic sport athlete. Turned into being the plaintiff and the representative, lead plaintiff of the case.
House, a student athletic advisory council member at the time, was initially met with criticism for speaking out against the NCAA.
There was a lot of pushback initially of like, why are you doing this? Like, you're wrong. Like, this is going to ruin like college sports. And I just thought that was such a limited mindset. No one was asking like, why is this happening? How can we actually move forward? What is going to be the future of sports?
But soon things took a turn, thanks to numerous voices from prominent programs across the country coming to the forefront in support of House.
These big, powerful individuals, athletic directors, head coaches of Power 5, dominant Big Ten schools speaking out in favor of it, really made a huge shift towards how everyone looked at it.
The case was granted class action status back on November 3rd of 2023 by a Northern California District Court judge, a development that could put the NCAA on the hook for hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
But they're also looking for back pay on like broadcast revenue, which would be really tricky. So you're talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially that the organization would get stuck with.
But that's not even the worst part of it for the NCAA, because federal antitrust cases come with a significant cost. And with thousands of potential class action clients in play, it could go from bad to worse in a hurry.
An entity that's violated the Sherman Act under antitrust law, you can be subject to treble damages, which means any damages that you find off the case, which are usually pretty large in antitrust cases, they get tripled.
Hernandez thinks that the NCAA will settle in all likelihood. If not, it could cause a number of problems for Division II and III schools that rely on money from the NCAA to keep their athletic programs afloat, including Division I Olympic sports.
Now, we need to force them to keep sports at the university through legislation and collective bargaining.
Former collegiate cross-country runner and SAC president Andrew Cooper has experience fighting for the rights of college athletes. In 2020, he was a key figure in a group that successfully persuaded the NCAA to grant eligibility relief to athletes that had their season cut short due to the pandemic. Now he's lobbying for TV revenue to be dispersed to college athletes, similar to how it is at the professional level.
Athletes should get their fair share. Let's just say it's half, because that is the model in professional sports. but then your sport should get the percentage that your sport delivers.
With a vastly smaller portion of viewership going to Olympic sports, Cooper says they can still be subsidized through university endowments, Olympic funding, and state funding as well. Cooper also believes the downfall of the NCAA is slowly nearing, with conference realignment happening more frequently, causing increased chaos in college athletics.
I think eventually the NCAA, the Power 5, now the Power 4, soon to be the Power 2, they will realize they will make a lot more money if they consolidate and merge. And it seems that the Power 2 is aware of that and is making an effort to break away from the NCAA.
So the NCAA needs to figure out an answer soon, or else we're going to have all these separate orientations and entities operating on their own.
House is hopeful his case will open the door for future college athletes.
You know, some of it's just allowing some student athletes to have some pride in what they're doing, what they are, and really opening that room of possibility and that door of possibilities and opportunity for them to step through and to capture if they want to.
We reached out to the NCAA for an interview regarding the House case, but they declined to comment. House versus NCAA is expected to go to court in January 2025. In Tempe, Ethan Tuttle, Cronkite News.
In the meantime, Grant House plans to compete at the Olympic trials to earn a spot in the 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris. Still to come, it's a family affair for the GCU men's basketball team. Plus, we hit the ice for an inspiring story of a young hockey fan who signs on with the Sun Devils of ASU.
This is CN to Go. I'm Emily Olson with your Wednesday news briefing.
Do you want to create innovative content for Cronkite News? Do you enjoy listening to podcasts? Then CN to Go is for you. Cronkite News to Go is a podcast where students cover the latest headlines. Students become audio producers and hosts and will learn how to write, record, and edit stories. You can listen to the latest episodes on these platforms.
Here at the TV Production and Graphics Lab, we are behind the scenes making the news happen. Gain experience in the control room directing, teledirecting, and rolling the audio of every Cronkite News show. Run the floor and work in a professional environment, honing your skills for the future. Create graphics that will be seen by the local community on Arizona PBS. Be a part of the bloodline that makes the Cronkite News shows possible.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. At Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, members of the men's basketball team have a lot in common, including for some, their DNA. Our Riley Swenson has the story of a family built on love, faith, and of course, hoops.
Saying basketball is in the blood of GCU players and coaches would be an understatement. Take, for instance, the family tree of brothers Caleb and Isaiah Shaw. It starts at the top with Grandpa Homer Drew, a Hall of Fame coach. Then it's Uncle Scott, who coaches at Baylor, and Uncle Bryce, who is their head coach at GCU. Factor in Mom Dana, who has her number retired at Toledo, and Dad Casey, who married into the family and played professionally, who now coaches alongside Bryce, and you've got yourself a basketball family.
When I was making my decision, I never thought I'd be this close to home, being able to be with not only my dad on the court, but my uncle, and then, this year my brother as well. So it's just been such a blessing for me.
Finding a balance between life on and off the court can sometimes be a challenge. But this basketball family has a tried and true system in place.
Usually before we go into conversation, my mom or dad will be like, all right, this is mom hat, and then they'll take it off, I'd be like, this is coach hat.
I think that that really helps is just knowing what hat am I wearing and what I need to be saying for that conversation in that moment.
As one would imagine, though, there are positives and negatives having family as coaches.
I get to come into the gym every day and I see Isaiah and Caleb. I pinch myself because man, they chose to come here. They wanted to be a part of what I'm doing. But it's really difficult as a dad and to be an assistant coach because no matter what I see, if I tried to coach the boys, it's always personal.
There's no coach in the country that doesn't have any player on his roster that doesn't get upset with them at times. That's just very natural. And so, there's definitely challenges with it. But, I think, for myself and hopefully for them, when you look back 10, 20 years later, you're like, man, I wouldn't have traded that experience for anything.
For Bryce, playing and coaching surrounded by family is nothing new. and he's using that experience to relate to his nephews.
It's definitely helped. You know, I played for my dad, and my brother was the assistant coach, so there was a family dynamic. And similar to them, you know, I try to balance, you know, coach and then be an uncle.
With Grandpa Homer and Uncle Bryce living in the same neighborhood as the Shaws, Uncle Scott phones in several times throughout the season for a family conference call to talk about, you guessed it, a little X's and O's.
I'm definitely thankful. It's a blessing to have, you know, basketball minds that can see things and share with me from their experiences. And it's been very beneficial, you know, for me. And also I think it makes us come closer in a relationship, you know, with each other and stay connected, even though he's in Texas and we're way out here.
Caleb and Isaiah both know how fortunate they are to have so many great basketball minds, including their parents, at their disposal.
Really good players. Uncle's a really good player, obviously great coaches. And so, you know, obviously you listen to them all the time, and, you know, having that advice and having them there to talk to you and give you encouragement.
There's no doubt that much of the family's interaction happens right here on the basketball court, but they will all tell you it's what happens away from the floor that brings them even closer together.
At Christmas and family gatherings, they're always so much fun. Our Uncle Scott comes in from Texas, and the ping pong battles get crazy. Yeah, so whatever we do, it's super competitive and always a blast.
And while basketball is the family business, at the end of the day, they're built on their faith and love for each other.
My biggest blessing in life isn't, it's not, you know, my height or my ability to shoot or my athleticism. My biggest blessing is having this guy here. And, you know, it's the greatest thing in life.
A life brought together by family, faith, and basketball. In Phoenix, Riley Swenson, Cronkite News.
From the hardwood to the ice, where ASU hockey gives one young fan the chance of a lifetime through a program that pairs kids with serious illnesses with college sports teams. Eric List has more on how 10-year-old Jackson Glover became a Sun Devil.
Jackson Glover is one of the newest signees for Sun Devil hockey. The 10-year-old was granted a rare opportunity to be part of the team, and was his reaction truly priceless when Jackson was told he'd be paired with ASU.
Show me your reaction when mommy told you you're gonna be with ASU.
Oh my God, ain't no way. Oh, falls out of chair.
He was super excited because we originally, Team Impact originally didn't think they were gonna be able to pair with ASU because I guess they never did the men's hockey team before. Surprise, like they're totally, you know, Greg Powers is totally all in for this.
Jackson was paired with ASU hockey through Team Impact, an organization that pairs kids with serious illness and disabilities with college teams.
It's a great organization. It would be awesome if they didn't have to exist, but they do. And yeah, I think that for kids like Jackson that struggle, it's good that they're around and they help do something special for them to kind of, you know, take some of the focus away from being sick and having issues, and it just gives them, you know, some moments of happiness.
At just over a year old, Jackson was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Since 1 till now, he's been in and out of Phoenix Children's Hospital where he's out of. So like it's just our second home to us where, you know, he's constantly either in the hospital or doctors.
However, Jackson has always loved hockey. He started playing at the age of 5 and now even plays on a travel team. But his underlying medical conditions make it hard for him to always stay on the ice. It all came together, though, for Jackson on one special night, when he got to become a full member of Sun Devil hockey.
It's a pretty fun idea. I've been having fun ever since we've signed that contract for ASU. We've been going to their little place and doing their thing.
You went in there, you got to tour their locker room.
The night included Jackson meeting head coach Greg Powers, signing a contract with the team, receiving his own jersey, spending time on the bench during warmups, and even watching the game from high above the ice in a suite.
They were so down to earth with him, you know, like so welcoming, especially when he was on the bench. Like it's just, you know, it seems smile because there's so many days where, you know, we get to see him crying in bed and stuff. So to see him super happy was great.
For Jackson, the best part about meeting the players was fist bumping them before the game.
Well, one thing that made me really laugh is when he was on the bench and we said what's up to him before the game and everything, and he was like, I said, do you have any predictions for the game? And he said, you guys are going to win. Okay, I'll try my best.
For Jackson, an experience like this goes a long way in allowing him to be a kid at heart, despite all of the troubles and setbacks he's gone through.
Like I know for us as parents, it's been huge for us because, like you said, he's sick a lot and he misses out on a lot. Like even his travel team, he's either having seizures or concussions. So to be with the ASU guys, it makes a world of a difference. He gets to experience something special, that he misses so much out on normal day life.
Jackson will be with ASU hockey next year as well, creating memories that will last a lifetime. In Tempe, Eric List, Cronkite News.
The partnership through Team Impact lasts for 2 years with Jackson and ASU hockey. Coming up next, from college to the WNBA. Phoenix Mercury GM Nick Urin talks about bringing a championship back to the Valley and the future of the game.
Here at the Walter Cronkite School, students produce award-winning content that focuses on health disparities in underserved communities and how to turn things around. In Cronkite News and Cronkite Noticias, students cover stories that affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities, and others across the Southwest.
We highlight big problems that are often overlooked in communities that are underserved.
Those stories not only inform and educate people about the challenges, but we work hard to highlight potential solutions. In the Cronkite Agency, students work to connect with community members through social media campaigns in English and Spanish.
Being a Hispanic myself, it's nice to be able to give back to my own community.
Find more of our health coverage at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome to the State Press, ASU's student-run news organization that covers everything ASU. As one of the longest-standing student-run newsrooms in the country, the State Press offers a glimpse into a real newsroom environment. The State Press has been cited by organizations such as CNN, The Washington Post, MSNBC, and many more. Students gain valuable experience in reporting, editing, photography, and even podcasting. The State Press is home to some of ASU's hardest working and most dedicated students, so feel free to join.
Finally tonight, women college basketball players across the country are hoping to get picked in tonight's WNBA draft. The Phoenix Mercury traded their rights to the 3rd overall pick earlier this year, but new GM Nick Urin has a long-term vision for the team that includes winning another championship and bracing for the eventual retirement of star player Diana Taurasi. Urin, who comes from the Golden State Warriors, sat down with our Devin Bradshaw and recounts how his start in the film room gave him the tools he needed to run the show.
I didn't play at a high level. I was an average high school player, and so those 5 years in the video room, I was just watching tape after tape after tape. And so not only did it instill a work ethic in me, but it instilled a knowledge of the game that I just wouldn't have gotten anywhere else, just because out of pure repetition, I was just watching so much basketball.
What are some of the differences in being part of an NBA front office and a WNBA one?
I think you get in trouble by thinking they're mirror images of each other. These are female athletes. Their bodies are built differently. They've come up a different way. They play the game a different way. And so I think there are overarching trends and knowledge that can be shared between leagues. But to think that they're mirror images of each other is a mistake. So trying to learn all that and navigate that too, for sure.
What were some of the philosophies and things that you learned and developed with the Warriors and Golden State that are influencing how you shape the Mercury?
Our goal here, which I learned from the Warriors, is just get as many high quality people under one roof, kind people, intelligent people, driven people, and things tend to have a better chance to work out if you just put quality human beings in one place.
What's your history with Diana, and did she have an impact in helping you, helping lure you, back to the Valley?
Diana is someone that I have a huge amount of respect and adoration for. She's been a good friend, and just across the history of basketball, how could you? She's the greatest of all time. I started my career here in Phoenix. I was in the video room for the Phoenix Suns, and at the time, I also worked for the Mercury. So I'd practice with them occasionally. I was their video coordinator, And that's where I started to get to know Diana and Penny, and our friendship has lasted over the last 8 to 10 years. She's been an amazing friend, and so the chance to partner with her and try to, you know, make this thing as good as it can be as she's in her later years was really appealing to me.
How would you describe the support that you've received from the Suns and from owner Matt Ishbia?
It's a huge reason why I took the job. Like, Matt's willingness to invest in the Mercury, not only financially, but in terms of just, you know, showing up. He cheers us on. Every time he says Suns, he says Mercury. He went to Bristol, Connecticut to be our lottery representative. Like, he comes to our games. Like, you can feel his support, and then the financial resources to build us a practice facility, to, you know, elevate the player experience. Like, that word is going to start spreading quickly, and it's what the WNBA deserves. It's what our players deserve, to be treated like the professional athletes they are. And the organization as a whole, from the business side to the Suns, like, everybody's so all in on helping us succeed. It's been amazing to be a part of.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Devin.
The Phoenix Mercury opened their season May 14th. That's it for this edition of the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Lauren Avenatti. Thank you for joining us.